Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but try to stay to the end of the video because I will be breaking down each pair, what happened this week, and obviously forecasting the next. But for that said, guys, let's get straight into it. Okay, so first up we've got Euro USD. So for this pair, not much this week. Price is kind of moving sideways. If I jump on the 4H, you can see what price has really done. Not much really. I did have a bearish bias coming into the week. I gave out two levels where we could be looking for sells from. One level was up there, which we didn't come into, and the second level, which was this level here, which price has been bouncing all week pretty much. So some nice sell opportunities on the lower time frames for that level, but we didn't break out, so we haven't really gone anywhere reacting to that level. So I'm expecting price to push higher back up into this support, now turn resistance. Was obviously resistance back here as well, so it is a nice level to be working with and something to keep an eye out for. But I do think there could be some smaller day trades to the upside. So for all you day traders out there, there could be a nice buy opportunity back up into 1.06, 200, 300 into this level here. You have around 60, 70 pips to work with. So there could be some nice day trades. Nothing that I'm looking for, obviously, as a swing trader, but there could be some nice longs there to the upside potentially. What I'll be looking to see happens for next week for Euro USD is what happens at these key levels, because these are the lows and the highs of that prior range before we had that big breakout to the downside. So I'm looking to see if we can come up, respect this, and then sell off again to stay in tune with the higher time frames. And targets will always be the low here, this support at 1.03600, or if we snap into the highs of the range, again still looking for the longer term sell back to the downside. But there also could be some nice buys to take advantage of that range as well. If we do break above this level, break and retest, chances are we're going to go fill the range like we did previously over here, back into the highs at 1.0750. So Euro USD, my main focus is the levels of the range basically. If we can hold this as resistance, fantastic. We'll look for sells to stay in tune with my higher time frames, because again, it's still bearish on higher time frames. And if you reject the highs of the range, again, still looking for sells. Again, don't have to push the trade all the way to the lows here if you don't want to. These are just general areas where good trades can be placed. And also, if we do break inside of that, you can take advantage of the swing to the upside as well. If the price action, you get some nice signals as well. So something to look out for those longs as well. I'll mainly be focused on the sells, but if I see a nice buy, I'll look to take it as well. Euro USD on the higher time frames is trading at that monthly support, so I'm aware that we could potentially reverse and start to see a lot more upside. If that's the case, I want this high here to break, and then when that does, I'll start to change my bias in the higher time frames. But for now, still bearish, so looking for sells from 1.06 1.0750, sells back down to lows, and possible buys taking advantage of that range at 1.06 as well. Okay, now on to USD JPY. So for this pair, some more upside this week. Price is just continuing that higher time frame momentum. Was quickly erased though. You can see the candles Wednesday and Thursday, I believe. Some strong downside momentum kind of just deleted the price action there to the upside. You can see clearly on the weekly candle there, open bullish, closed bullish there, big wick to the upside. Price still struggling to break through our higher time frame level on the monthly time frame, which is this high over there. So that's what I'm looking for USD JPY to see some downside from. We've been extremely bullish over the past few months now, and I do expect us to see some downside from this area. Obviously, if we break through it, then we could be going to those highs and look for the break and retest and all that good stuff. But as of right now, we're still trading underneath that level and still struggling to break through. So we'll be looking for sales still for USD JPY for some downside. If I go on the daily time frame, I said I was looking for a test of this resistance here on the left here. Turn support now, which we haven't quite tested, didn't quite test the week before, as you can see. So I do think there's still some room to the downside. Come and retest 131. Whether we break through or not, again, we'll find out when we get there. But I can see another test of that level if we can hold on to the level that we're holding on to on the monthly time frame. So the opportunity I'm looking for for USD is very simple. I'm seeing if we can respect this level of resistance on the 4H. If the market does stay underneath this level, I'm expecting to see another drop to the downside and targets back at 131, or you can look at this low here as well. Obviously pretty much the same price, but these will be the targets. We did have this trend line here which the market was respecting pretty well, as you can see. If I make that a bit darker, was respecting pretty well. As you can see, this is a big fake out to the downside. We got back above, retested it, and it looks like now that trend line could be as resistance here as well. So looking for sells for JPY. If we can hold this, if we break above, then yeah, we probably are heading back to highs at 136,700 and probably into 137 as well, but mainly focused on the sales this week here for USD JPY. So if we can hold this level of resistance, 135, 100, 135, 200, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 rejections. We can get a fourth, looking for the sales, and again, targets back there at 131. So that will be the plan for next week for USD JPY. Okay, so up next, USD CAD. So USD CAD trading at very key prices here at 1.3, still above 1.29 though, which is the main level of support that I'm looking to see if we can break through. Probably expecting price to break through because we're rejecting 1.3 very well, so I'm expecting price probably to break through now. But if we do break through that, then I'm expecting price to really dump to the downside, back down to 1.25 and a lot further. On the monthly time frame, you can see where we're trading very key support. Here gave us a big move to the upside, now resistance. If that holds, we could melt back down to 1.2. If we break above and retest it, then we can even push to 1.4. So either which way, I do think some big moves are happening for USD CAD. As of right now, we're still respecting it as resistance on the daily, and you can see some nice bearish price action on the daily with those candles. So if that maintains, snap through 1.29, could be game over for USD CAD. So on the 4H time frame, we've got this neckline, this head and shoulder pattern, left head and the right, and price kind of broke above this resistance here slightly during the week, but got back below, respected and seeing some downside. But for me, USD CAD is looking like it could drop here. So there's two opportunities you can look for to get involved with this one. Is either look for another retest of this level here, to look for another lower high in reference to these swings here, so one high, two high, third lower high, and then drop. Or we break through this level, retest it, and then you catch the shorts, and pretty clean price action there. So should see a rather smooth ride to the downside, back down to 1.25, 400. So that is what I'm looking at for USD CAD. Obviously, if I'm wrong and price does hold that level and start to see some more upside, then a break and retest of that level there, and price back to highs here at 1.30700. Will be the targets, but as of right now, I'm still favoring the sells, so that is what I'll be focusing on for USD CAD after some of those daily candle closures. So USD CAD could give us a really nice swing opportunity in the upcoming days, upcoming weeks here. So focused on those sells and looking for a move all the way back down to 1.25, 300 there. Most importantly though, the 1.29 level, because we could respect this level here and start respecting to 1.29 and then fly. If 1.29 breaks, then the probability of us going back down to these lows is very high. So yeah, for me, USD CAD looking for shorts, break and retest of 1.29 or a retest of 1.29700, and targets back down at those lows.
Sorry to interrupt the video guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video.
Okay, now on to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound of late is being very choppy, as you can see. If I go on the 4H time frame, you can see price being so messy for this one. But essentially coming into the week, I said pretty simple setup for this one. Break me test of this level here, expecting price to reach those highs. If we hold and start to reject that level, I'm looking for a push back down into this support, maybe even further as well. But you can see with the price action on the daily, I'm still expecting a move back to these highs here at 0.87, which is where we started this massive choppy corrected price action from. Still expecting price to snap back into that like we did a few days ago, and probably break through as well. So I'm still looking at a bullish bias here for USD CAD, but again, so messy. So Probably recommend to wait for price action to settle first, see if you can respect the level a little bit better, throw some more wicks to the downside, or maybe even break above a retest of some lower time frame level and then get involved. If not, and we drop to the downside, then I recommend waiting for a break of this support level here, which is 0.85682. Wait for a break of that support, then look for the retest, and then for the sells. That will make a whole load more sense than try and get involved in the price action, how it's developed off the back of last week. So sells, something like that, can make a lot more sense. But again, do wait for a daily close back underneath this level here, because as of right now, the daily did close back above. So if you do get the longs, then yeah, looking for break and retest, something like that, to get involved, and targets all the way back up at 0.7095. So that is the plan there for USD CAD. Very, very choppy price action, I do have to admit, so probably not the best pair to trade going into next week. But hey, if you want to trade it, there could be a nice opportunity there. Targets back down at 0.849 if we snap that level there at 0.85720. But if we hold above, then looking for a push to 0.8795 for next week. Okay, so now on to AUD USD. So for this pair, again, not too much this week. To be fair, the market hasn't been really moving too much a lot this week, especially for some of the USD pairs. You can see market is very, very choppy. We were favoring some more sells this week. So again, the market's still bearish from the higher time frames. We did see some downside, not quite into the support we were looking for, but near enough. But on the higher time frames, been having a look, and the market is trading at some very, very key areas where I do think we could be due some upside for AUD. As you can see, the support level we're trading at, really key support there, big move to the upside, bit of a fake out of the level, strong test of the level, nice move to the downside, again another fake. Now we're coming into the support. If we do break through this level now, yeah, we definitely could come back down to these lows. I think those are some COVID lows there at 0.56. But if we do reject this level, we could start to come back to some highs up there. So we're trading at a very, very critical point here for AUD in terms of what price is going to do in the future. But we are trading at some key support, whether we break or not, it's completely up to the market. But as of right now, we can take advantage of some buys on the lower time frame to take advantage of price reacting with that level. So with AUD, was bearish coming into last week, but this week looking for buys. And as long as we can stay above this level, I will be looking for buys for AUD. If we break through this level, start retesting it, then yeah, we could drop further, and that will keep me in that sell bias. But as of right now, looking for buys and a push back up into this resistance here at 0.70400 or 500, we'll call it. So yeah, 0.70500 will be the target. So AUD, as long as we stay above this level here, looking for some long opportunities back up into those highs to take advantage of that higher time frame level, and obviously price not breaking through that support. If it does, then that way invalidate the setup. But looking for some longs for AU back up into 0.705 for next week. Okay, so up next, NZD CAD. So NZD CAD more downside this week, which was expected, looking for that third lower high there, which I believe is being printing right now. Haven't obviously taken out the lows yet, so it's not confirmed, but I'm anticipating that to be the next lower high for us to go and take out these lows. Still do have that monthly wick, which I'm expecting price to go and take out at 0.0152. So still do have some downside targets, and looking for another drive lower to take out these lows, or at least come and test the support anyway for NZD CAD. So pretty much only looking for sells as long as we stay below that trend line, or at least below that low there. Looking for even another move to the upside, respect that resistance, and then some more sells or a retest of this resistance here, because that could be the next lower high for a move lower. So looking for something like this for NZD CAD, not interested in buys or whatsoever really. If you go and take out this structure here, then yeah, we'll look at the buys from a swing point of view. Of course, there will be some buys to day trade and take advantage of the smaller moves, of course, but from a swing point of view, only focus on sells, and these will be my targets here. So this is the plan for NZD CAD. Hopefully we can pull back. There's a chance we might not, and we could just melt straight away. If that's the case, that's the case. But if you do pull back, we can take advantage of that and looking for sales either at 0.81700 or 0.82300 for next week. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to pound NZD. So for this pair this week, had a sell bias, looking for sells at this level here, but as you can see, the market broke through that pretty easily, used it as support briefly, then broke back underneath. So pound NZD is a little bit messy here, but I will be changing my bias to bullish based on the highs and lows and the way the market is moving. We've tried to sell off a few times now, and the market saw some bullish momentum come back into the market, take out some of these highs, including this high here on the left, and still respecting structure and holding those lows. So I'm actually expecting the market to come back and take out these highs up here, or at least come back and revisit that resistance with those wicks. So either which way, I was still expecting more upside, and we do have a really nice area here where the market was holding as resistance on the daily, which I was expecting to hold and see some downside from, but we broke above and now using as support. So this 1.94 area could act as a great place to look for some longs here and a push back into 1.965. All I have to say for this pair is be a little bit careful, because even though I have a bullish bias for this one, you know, if you look at the structure in a very, very simple manner, price is moving sideways here. So typically speaking, not the best pair to trade. And if you want to get involved, it's best to wait for price to get to the extremes, like we did here this week, looking for sells up at these regions or buys down here. That's typically the best place to get involved. Still do think that's a good trade to the upside though, but you know, if you're not really a big fan of trading the range, you can wait for price to come to the extremes and get some better high quality setups. But for next week, that is the plan, looking for another move to the upside from this 1.94, slightly above 1.94, 1.942 level, for another move back into 1.965. So that's the plan for next week. But if we do break back underneath this level, it gets very, very messy at that point. So I'll just wait for it to come back to support near here, then look for some buyers to take it back up. But that will be the plan next week for pound NZD. Okay, let's have a look see at CAD JPY. So CAD JPY bearish bias this week for CAD yen. I was looking for a push back down into these areas, or at least a push back down into this support. As you can see, haven't quite come close to those areas, but again, still looking at that move. You can see where we're trading in the higher time frames. I'll go to the monthly real quick. You can see where we're trading here, very, very critical regions here where the market's tested and it absolutely melted from. And the last time we were trading above these areas, you know, was back in 07. So it's been a long time since we've been above these areas, and it's a very, very key level of resistance. And since we've had a very, very overextended push as well, I'm using the word very a lot. But yeah, if we can hold this level here, you would expect to see some retracement from that bullish move there. Maybe a bearish candle or two on the monthly. We could obviously go and break through. If that's the case, we'll look for the break to be tested. We can go higher, maybe to all-time highs, who knows. But yeah, this is an important level where I would expect to see at least a bearish month and at least a turnaround from CAD JPY if we don't break through and have that retest. So still looking for sales at this kind of 104, 106, you know, 10, 108 region, and looking for a push back down into these areas. So taking that bias from higher time frames, looking for that next lower high. So I'm expecting this high here to be our high and this to be our next lower high. Reason being, we haven't actually taken out that low yet, so it's not confirmed lower high. So basically, as long as we don't take out this high here, expecting to see a sell off here. We've got one high, second high on the lower time frames. Could be printing a third one pretty swiftly if we respect this trend line, or if we move higher. Either which way, looking for sells. So again, look for sells at the trend line there, breaking retest of that support as well. But as long as we don't break through 105, so even if you do go break through that trend line, as long as we don't break through 105, 700, looking for those sells back down into 102 and then potentially 101 there as well. Like I said, some sells will be looking good here. Pretty much as soon as the week starts, we could drop straight away or fly to the upside. We'll have to see. But yeah, that's the plan next week for CAD JPY. Push back down into 101, or you can just look for push down into 102 as well. Okay, so now I'm going to check out pound USD. So again, another dollar pair which hasn't done too much this week. This is pretty much all the price action for the week, so just basic consolidation for this pair. But we're still trading at that critical region on the daily chart and also on the higher time frames as well. I quickly go on the monthly, so like Euro USD, like Aodu USD, like USD CAD as well, all trading at very, very key levels, which, you know, if they break or hold, could give us some big moves in both directions. Potentially. So as you can see, pound USD still trading at this 1.22 level. If we hold, we could see, you know, a pretty big move to the upside, maybe back to 1.32. If we break through, again, all-time lows is not too far away, so we could also hit those levels down there. So definitely something to take note of. As you can see, pound USD still trading at this support, and my buy still stands for last week here. So due to us having consolidation, I would wait for a snap above this consolidation. Let me just change the color of that so it's a little bit clearer. If we can break above this consolidation at 1.23, come back and retest it, could be some nice buys back up into this support there. Let me change it back now. So that's what I'm expecting for pound USD, because trying to get involved in some swing trades, placing trades in here doesn't make sense. If you're looking to take advantage of the range and looking from sell the highs and buy at the lows and take advantage of the fluctuations, that makes sense. But looking to place swing trades from there, in my opinion, is just a little bit too risky, and you're better off waiting for the break and retest, and the probability of the trade will be much, much higher. Or wait for the break and retest of the range to the downside, and if that's the case, expecting us to come back down to these lows here at 1.19300. So that is the plan for pound USD for next week. Not really trying to get involved in that range, but if you're looking to day trade or scalp, that range there, highs and range lows, does make a load of sense. Or we can look for the break and retest of the consolidation to the downside, and again targets back down at these lows here at 1.19300. So pound USD, pretty simple, using that key level of 1.22, big psychological level as well. If it breaks to the upside, we most likely push higher, probably even push back into this resistance here as well, at those highs at 1.26. So you can probably push the trade even a little bit further, but we'll just keep it into that level there for pound USD. So yeah, that will be the plan. Breaking retest to the highs of 1.23, looking at 1.24818. Break to the downside of 1.21500. We'll look for sales back down to lows at 1.19350. Okay, so next up, pound CAD. So pound CAD overall, not much from this one, but some downside which was expected. Had that bearish bias, looking for that next lower high here. Didn't quite come into the trend line, but again, still the same principle. Lower high, and look for that next lower high. Full move back down into this support. Now for pound CAD, we are actually trading at higher time frame levels of really strong levels of support, and not too far off some all-time lows down here at 1.5. So as you can see, if I highlight those levels quickly, you know, big level there, obviously this consolidation which gave us that huge move to the upside. Market's kind of just about tapped into that area. We could come a little bit deeper first, you know, if we do see that bearish trend continue, but we are coming up into some key higher time frame levels. So if you do see, you know, this bearish trend start to reverse or have a big correction, nothing to really be shocked about really, and it has been, you know, trend to the downside for some time. But the key thing I'm looking at for pound CAD is this level of support here at 1.58. If we can hold that, then that's when I would expect to see some retracement come into pound CAD and us to maybe break structure, move a little bit higher first. And we've got some targets up here we can be looking at, or at least a move back up into that price swing high from last week. So something like this will take my fancy for pound CAD. Again, you can push it into whichever target you're looking to trade into, depending on pip wise and everything. But yeah, looking for, if we can hold that support at 1.58, then we'll look for longs to the upside. If not, we break through, then most likely we'll see the market continue bearish and then push back down to those lows, like I said, and maybe even some new lows past 1.55. But that is the setup, the plan next week for pound CAD. Some nice opportunities on this one, either to the upside or to the downside, depending what we do with that level. Break below, we'll just short back down to 1.55. If we hold, then we'll look for longs back up to 1.615 for next week. Okay, so now we've got pound JPY. So for this pair, some upside this week, but again, downside in the second half of the week, as we saw with a lot of JPY pairs this week. But as you can see, price is still respecting these highs here. So pound yen, don't get me wrong, still very, very bullish on the higher time frames, the daily as well, but we're seeing a lot of sign that the trend is weakening, and we could be taking advantage of some sales coming into next week, potentially back up into this support area here at at 162 down here. So I'm actually looking for sales this week for pound JPY, as long as we don't take out these highs. If we go and take out those highs, then yeah, we can continue a lot further. My bias was wrong. Look for the break and retest and take advantage of that. And again, up into these areas is very uncharted territory. Yeah, I think that's the right word to use. Yeah, very uncharted territory. As you can see, price has been dropping since November 2015, and there's not much to work with until coming up to these highs up here. Looking on the daily as well, you know, on the lower time frames, got this high here, and there's a lot of clean price action there. So we haven't been trading at those prices for quite a long time. So if that does happen, we break through these highs, then break and retest really, and just look to play with the psychological levels is the way I would go about it. But if we don't, and we start forming some lower highs, which could have just happened over here in respect to that high there, as you can see, looking for sells back down into this 162 area of support. So you can see we've got one drive, two drive, looking for the third one. Again, similar setup to CAD yen, or if we move up a little bit higher into this resistance here, we'll look for some sells, as long as we don't go and break through, as I previously stated. So yeah, sells for pound yen to the downside at that trend line would be a nice area there as well. Got a bit of resistance down the left running through, maybe price can respect that. So again, possible sells pretty early on. We'll have to watch what is happening, but that is, let me draw a little bit tidier arrow. But yeah, that is the plan for pound yen for next week. So as long as we don't go break through 167, 168, we'll call it, looking for sales back down into 162 for next week. Okay, so now we've got gold up next. So again, gold basically in that larger consolidation on the daily. Price has been very, very choppy for some time now. Coming into this week, was looking for a push to the upside. Again, I was telling you guys, not really looking to trade this, but I said if we can hold this level, could be some nice buys back up into the highs of the range and the resistance up there. As you can see, we failed, we broke and had a retest of that level, and now we're actually moving to the downside. So again, with gold, we've got the lows here and to support at 1804, which I'm expecting price to come and test now, which could actually give us some nice buy opportunities to take advantage of the reaction of that level. Okay, it doesn't have to be a swing all the way up into the highs of the range, something like that. You can just look to catch a push to the upside, you know, back it up to these levels, or maybe kind of midpoint of the range, 1840 area. Doesn't have to be the whole swing, but generally speaking, 1804 would provide some nice buys if you can hold this level, and likewise to the upside. So like I've said, for the past week for gold, I'm only looking to get involved with this pair at the lows or at the highs to take advantage of those reactions, rather than try and get involved in these areas here, which is very, 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 very choppy, as you can see. So 1804, 1872 is where I'm looking for gold to come into. Again, not necessarily looking for the full swing. Something like this would be very, very nice into the kind of like the midpoint 1840. You can see really nice support, 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 was resistance, resistance as well. So nice resistance there as well. Nice level where price has been attracted to. And again, typically speaking, in a range, you know, if you don't want to go for the whole range, equilibrium, very, very high. 50% of the range, very, very high probability price will get to the 50% at least. Not all the time we see the full range, but 50%, you know, is pretty high probability anyway. And then some sells to the downside if we break to the upside and take advantage of that. So that's how I'm looking to trade gold. Again, nothing really fantastic. In truth, I'm waiting for the breakout of this range to know where my long-term bias is, either to the upside or to the downside. And then I can be, you know, trying to find a little bit better opportunities with gold. But as of right now, buys at 1804, 1806, and sells from 1868, and both targets at 1840 at the mid-range of that consolidation. Okay, and now we've got the infamous Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's still trading at that same price as I was doing my video last week at this 1920k mark, which if I go on the weekly quickly, is our prior swing high of the last bullish cycle at 2017 is when it happened, but at 19677. So price is kind of using this as support. We closed just above last week, so we could see some upside for Bitcoin reacting to this level. I do think there's still a lot more downside for Bitcoin, however. 12k is what I'm expecting price probably to come into before we might start to see some big recoveries or even further even. But again, we've dropped through this very strong level of support and kind of had a retest. You can argue that's a retest there with that bullish candle, not necessarily the kind of more orthodox retest where we break, come back and retest. Very quick break and retest there with that weekly candle. So there is a possibility we could come back up to 30k before we do see a bigger drop to the downside. But just for analysis for next week, we'll focus on this level here. So for Bitcoin, as long as we hold this support here at 20k, as long as we hold this support, I'm looking for push back up into this area, which could maybe start the move up higher potentially. But for next week, we're just going to look for this and not try and push the trade too far. If we do break through this 20k mark, and like I said, that 12k is looking very attractive for Bitcoin. So main focus for Bitcoin, some upside, because again, we have been falling out the sky for some time. Expect to see at least some correction, some upside for this one, and a push to 22,800 makes sense. We could go further, but that makes the most sense just for next week. So buys from 20k, targets at 22, we'll call it 23k for next week for Bitcoin.
So guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed that and found that useful. Again, any questions, didn't understand my analysis or particular thing in the video, leave it down in the comment. I'll be sure to get back to you. Or if you want to share your own analysis or your own bias, leave it down in the comments as well. I'm interested to find out. If you have been enjoying the content on the channel, particularly this video of course, but in general, leave a like on the video. It does really help the channel out. If you haven't done already, subscribe, share, comment, hit the bell, all of that good stuff does really help the channel out, and it again keeps you in the loop of the videos and streams that I do in the future. But guys, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you all next week.